Today I am going to disclose the 7 most common reasons behind your shrimp's death. If you can take care of these 7 things, then the death rate of your shrimps will decrease noticeably. Cause number 1. Lack of proper acclimation. Although it is done only when you move your shrimps from one tank to another, it is still the number 1 reason behind your shrimp's death if it dies within the first 3 days of transferring it into a new tank. Cause number 2. Improper molt. It is very deeply related with the first cause. Shrimps molt every time they sense a noticeable change in water parameters. And when you transfer your shrimps to a new tank without proper acclimation, it senses a large change in water parameters and attempts to molt. But it may not be ready to perform a successful molt if it happens to have molted very recently. And in this case, a problem called early molt arrives. It is a situation which occurs if shrimps attempts to molt but fails to gain success due to not being ready. This causes the arrival of the white ring of death, and basically all shrimps die if it is ever seen on them. But molting problems also occurs when there is not enough minerals in the tank water, since shrimps need some minerals in the tank water to molt properly. And if your shrimps seem to have molting problems due to lack of minerals in your tank water, then you can add a piece of crushed coral to your shrimp tank to fix that. Now let's move on to cause number 3. Frequently fluctuating water parameters. Shrimps prefer really stable water parameters. But if for any reason the water parameters like pH, GH or temperature keeps fluctuating very frequently, then the shrimps will get stressed and they will eventually die. Now if you want to decrease the fluctuation of the water parameters in your shrimp tank, then do these 3 things. Number 1. Do water changes less frequently and in less amounts. Number 2. Add a heater if the temperature falls too low at night and the room in which you keep the shrimps is not heated. And lastly, on number 3, add some live plants since they help quite a lot in keeping the water parameters of your shrimp tank really stable. Now here comes cause number 4. Improper water parameters. Neocaridina shrimps prefer the water to be quite hard at around 150 to 250 TDS, and they like the water to be slightly acidic and ammonia free. But what happens in most cases is that people overfeed their shrimp and that extra food rots and creates a large amount of ammonia, which then plays its role to take down the shrimps gradually. Now talking of ammonia, let's have a deeper look at its main source, overfeeding. Overfeeding is something which you should want to avoid anyhow. If you overfeed your shrimps, then the shrimps won't be able to finish all the food, and as a result the remaining food will break down and they will release lots of ammonia. And if you continue overfeeding for a long period, then it might cause the rise of parasite like planaria. Now you might ask, how do I know how much I should feed my shrimps? What I would suggest is, feed your shrimps a small amount of food and then count how much time they take to finish that food. If they are able to finish it within an hour, then you might feed a bit more. And if they take almost 6 to 7 hours, then it's a bit too much for your shrimps. If your shrimps are able to finish the food in around 3 hours, then you may consider it as an ideal amount for your shrimps. Now let's move on to cause number 6. Natural death. Although shrimps die due to various unfavorable conditions, sometimes they just die for no reasons. You can identify this if all the other shrimps which were on the same tank are totally fine. Shrimps only live for 1 to 2 years at best, so don't always blame yourself if any shrimp dies for no reason. Now it is time for the last one, cause number 7, planaria. Now it is not that common and that's why I put it in the last place. Planaria are triangular-headed creatures which appears in shrimp tanks due to overfeeding for a long period of time. They won't kill all of your shrimps overnight, but they will get 1 or 2 shrimps killed every now and then. To prevent them, you should stay away from feeding your shrimps more food than the ideal amount. And if it already appears in your tank, then you can use a product called no planaria. Although it is a bit expensive and hard to find, it will get the planarias killed for you if you are not willing to take down your gorgeously kept shrimp tank. So these are the 7 most common reasons behind your shrimp's death. Subscribe if the video was helpful and I will catch you in the next one.